I thought it is necessary, as someone who is of Afrikaner descent and who happens to be white, to deal with the serious problems that are unfolding in Groblersdal. In recent days, I've watched videos of racist Afrikaner Boere marching through Groblersdal, displaying the racist vierkleur flag and making all kinds of racist statements. I spoke this afternoon to the leader, to the regional chair of the Economic Freedom Fighters, fighter Adi Maloba, and told him that I fully support the decision that the Economic Freedom Fighters had taken to picket tomorrow outside the Groblersdal Magistrates Court. I share the view of the Economic Freedom Fighters that the display of the racist vierkleur flag is deeply insulting and provocative. I share the view that the racism displayed by the Boere in Groblersdal, the manner in which farm workers are very often treated, is indeed entirely despicable and unacceptable. I therefore expressed my support to the chairperson of the Sekhukhune region of the Economic Freedom Fighters, my fellow fighter, that every possible step must be taken to oppose the racism of the Boere. Similarly, every possible step must be taken to oppose the discriminatory conduct of the South African Police Service against the poor, who of course are black and African. In one of the videos that has been making the rounds on Facebook, I noted how a white general engaged in a very sympathetic manner with these Boere, allowed them, despite the fact that there originally was a decision that their march through Groblersdal would be illegal to march. I noted how provocative behavior by the Boere was treated with kid gloves. This is entirely unacceptable. I think all of us must be very clear that any form of racism, I repeat, any form of racism, and any hankering back, nostalgia to the racist apartheid regime of the past, must be opposed to the hilt. Racism is illegal. The display of a racist symbol, the racist vierkleur flag, is illegal. It must not be allowed to happen. And it is very important that the South African Police Service must be kept to their duty to act against racists and racism wherever it lifts its ugly head. And that must include that racists must be arrested and charged immediately. Racists do not belong in our South African society. They belong in prison. And let me make it absolutely clear to the Boere of Groblersdal, you are not going to try and create another little Oranje in Groblersdal. In fact, Oranje and all other white enclaves should be declared illegal and must be erased from the South African geographical country. We cannot have little racist enclaves. We cannot have little grabbacks to the old apartheid regime. And those farmers who treat their farm workers poorly, who assault them, they better must go and listen to the EFF podcast of last Friday, when the Judge President of the Western Cape, the Honourable Justice Shorpe, described the various measures that can be taken to expropriate land without compensation. And among those are also that if you commit a crime on your property, if you're an accessory to a crime on land, you can forfeit that land. And you will forfeit it without receiving a cent for it, because you've used that land as an instrument of crime. Of course, that does not negate the fact that the land anyhow had been stolen in the past by the white colonists from the indigenous people of South Africa. And therefore, the proper nationalization process, the expropriation of land without compensation, is critical and one of the strongest foundational stones of the 7 cardinal pillars that the EFF holds sacred. So to the Boere of Groblersdal, to the Boere and Afrikaners who hanker back to apartheid and racism anywhere in South Africa, I want to deliver an unequivocal message. Your racism will not be tolerated. You will not be allowed to carry out your racist acts. You will not be allowed to display your racist grab-back symbols to the era of apartheid racism. If you do so, we in the economic freedom fighters will oppose you to the hilt. I wish I could have been there tomorrow in Groblersdal to give my full support, together with my fellow fighters, against these racist thugs. Unfortunately, I suffer a knee injury which impedes my mobility, and I'm still receiving treatment for it. I have explained to the chairperson of the Sekhukhune region of the Economic Freedom Fighters why it is not possible for me to travel tomorrow to Groblersdal. But in my revolutionary heart, I'm 100% with you. And I call on you not to give these Boere racists an inch, not to allow them to be soft-treated and accommodated by the South African Police Service. You have to insist that the law must be implemented to the fullest, that racism will not be tolerated, that the despicable treatment of black African farm workers must come to an end, that there must be a consequence for the racism of the Boere, and that they must pay the price for their actions. There can be no compromise with racism. Racism is a cancer that has destroyed the lives of millions of South Africans. Colonialism robbed the people of our country, the indigenous South Africans, of their land. And when we talk about all these issues, let us reiterate again that the economic freedom fighters will not waver until the land is returned to its true owners, will not waver until the means of production in our economy are nationalized and in the hands of an African government, will not waver until the whole of our country is rid of racism. We will not tolerate little enclaves of racism whether it's in Oranje or anywhere else. And those who want to continue with their racist behavior, let us guarantee to you that you will face the wrath of the law. Let us guarantee to you that we, as fighters of the economic freedom fighters, will not waver. We will take you on. We will make sure that you pay the price for your racism. We want to see a united country. We believe that there is a place for everyone under the South African sun. But there can and will be no place for racists. We want to reach out to all South Africans, but on the understanding that there must be restitution for our colonial past, that our economy has to be an economy of full empowerment of the majority of Black and especially African people, that we need economic freedom in our lifetime. So whether you like it or not, we will not let you get away with your racism. And this year, the year of 2024, is indeed going to be our 1994. Fundamental change will come. An end to racism will come. The weak African National Congress that fails to deal with racism, that fails to deal with economic inequality, that does not address the needs of the majority of Black and especially African people, will be removed. The economic freedom fighters will indeed take control of South Africa. And the Commander-in-Chief of the EFF, Comrade Julius Malema, will indeed become the President of South Africa. So we tell the white Boer racists, your days are counted. And tomorrow in Groblersdal, the message will be delivered unequivocally, without any holding back, from the fighters of the economic freedom fighters, who will be there in their large numbers. No racism will be tolerated. Sekunjalu, our time is now, and any racist will face the consequences of their criminal behavior. A luta continua. In the coming weekend of the 3rd and 4th of February, register to vote economic freedom fighters. I greet you, and I hope that this message will reach the EFF fighters who from very early tomorrow morning, from 4 o'clock onwards, will be gathering at the Groblersdal Magistrates Court in order to give expression to their democratic right to picket, to speak out against racism, and to call out the racist Boers and their despicable behavior in Groblersdal and everywhere else throughout South Africa. Once again, my greatest appreciation and also my encouragement to the courageous EFF fighters who will tomorrow be stating the case for a democratic, just, and economically free South Africa. Thank you very much. Amandla.
Kichi, kichi, kichima. Simran Konto Alliance. Shoot to kill. Gamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer.